Alright, we are on the draw, Rug Delver, 2 Delvers, 5 lands. That is bad. If they kill our Delvers, we have nothing going on. Unfortunately, we mull into a 6 without lands, and that's not a keep either. So we're going to go to 5. Also doesn't have lands. I think we're just mulling into Oblivion here. This is not a keep. I would not just hope to scry and hit a land. We're better off going to 4 and getting this. It's really bad, but at least it does things. Bottom that. Hopefully we're in a matchup where Lightning Bolt is really good, and we just have very good draws. Because unfortunately, when you mull down to 4, you can't really expect much. This hand is, however, I would say better than the 5, and also better than the 6. It's probably even better than the 7. Not that I use that as any sort of benchmark. That's just my way of saying this kinda did turn out a little better. They started with a Glistener Elf, which is extremely exciting. It's been a while since I played against any sort of Infect, so I am pretty down. Also, Lightning Bolt was good. Black-green Infect. Awesome. Spell Snare could be useful, actually. I'm going to go get an island for Snapcaster Mage and Spell Snare. Hopefully we can snare something relevant and then Snap Bolt. Yeah, they just have a 3-drop. Does that have Pro Red? It does have Pro Red, and First Strike means that Snapcaster's gonna have trouble. Pro Red, Pro White, I believe? Yeah. Okay. So we need a green fatty to deal with that. 1 Infect. They probably have a bunch of pump spells. Green fatty. So we can't Snapcaster Mage and Hooting Mandrills. If we just go for the Hooting Mandrills, I think we're in trouble because they can probably just make really either one of them massive, but I kind of like starting off with Snapcaster Mage so that we can at least chump block the Crusader. Now, there is an argument for doing our stuff here, because really you should never fight Infect in combat, but there's also an argument for not doing anything here, because then Snapcaster Mage just chumps. But I think I'm going to go with the age-old adage of do not fight Infect in combat, and bolt the Glistener Elf. They could still have sufficient pump spells to just kill us if we don't block, so I kind of do want to block. We don't have any guarantee of casting Hooting Mandrills. I actually couldn't have cast Hooting Mandrills this turn. I only had 2 cards in the bin. Fatal Push is going to make the decision of blocking or not very easy. Hopefully they don't have enough pump spells to kill us in a timely manner. Hooting Mandrills seems pretty good against Black-green Infect. Might have Old Krosa, probably, given that we just saw land enter the battlefield. Maybe not. That's a sorcery, I think. It's been a long time since I played against Infect. We're taking at least 2. Make it 8. Pretty sure that's a minimum of 8. That would be why they fetched. If they have another pump spell, we're just dead. Do they have another pump spell? No? Maybe? A little weird that they did the Become Immense there, but that's okay. Pretty much anything kills us, I think. We need a land or something to accelerate mandrills, otherwise we are pretty dead. Okay, we are in the game, ever so slightly. We, however, need to not take damage ever again in the form of Infect, which could be difficult. We are certainly fighting a losing battle here. Then again, we mulled to 4, and we were actually really lucky to be going up against Infect because it's a deck where Lightning Bolt, Snapcaster Mage, and to some extent this Spell Snare are probably pretty good. I can't attack unless I assume they have no removal and just want to get in for 4 damage and use Snapcaster Mage to chump block, which seems like an awful decision. Then again, just about any pump spell makes it so that Hooting Mandrills dies on the crackback, but that's pretty much the world we live in right now. Here's a Rancor. That will make the Crusader large enough to give me a really big headache. That's a 4-2. Due to first strike, cancel skip, please, please, please. Yeah, we made it. We made it in time. We need to hope that they have basically nothing. I'm going to flash in this Snapcaster Mage and hope that it's good enough. They have Vines of Vastwood, which means it is not good enough. They're giving it... They're kicking it. Okay, the kicker is the +4/+4. So now we're just going to chump with Snapcaster Mage because there's no reason to lose this Mandrills. Oh, it has... Yeah, we're just dead. It has Trample off of Rancor. Okay, that's fine. We could not get there. I think we did pretty well, though. I'm pretty happy with that. Did I successfully... Come on, Xmage. There we go. I at least want to do my blocking. And we are going to take a good bit of poison, and we will die, unfortunately. Like I was saying earlier, we were pretty lucky to be going up against Infect, because Lightning Bolt, Snapcaster Mage... I guess Spell Snare is going to come out, since this isn't Blue Infect, which plays Blighted Agent. But if we went up against something like Jund, Death's Shadow, or not Jund Death's Shadow, I'm saying Jund Midrange, a Death's Shadow deck, or say an Eldrazi deck, we probably would have been obliterated much more quickly. Although Bolt is at least okay against Bant Eldrazi because it hits Mana Dorks. How do we beat Green-Black Infect? That is a good question, Self. We really want to have a counter or a Dismember, I think. Or I guess a Vapor Snag could also work for the Crusader. Staticaster is good against Blue-Green Infect, but I don't know how good it will be here. They probably are going to be boarding in Spellskites, which actually makes Spell Snare a lot better than when I thought to take it out. Explosives is really slow, even though it could deal with Crusader. I think we're on a bit of a bounce plan. I don't really want the Spell Snares, but they might be good. I kind of want Revelry. Denial's pretty bad against Infect, I think. I don't want to cut all of them because it's still at least somewhat decent, but it's pretty bad. So I don't really want the Pyroclasms because of Crusader. If they had Blighted Agent, Pyroclasm becomes way better, but half of their threats, at minimum, not dying to it seems a lot worse. I'm going to assume that they're running Noble Hierarch, even though we didn't see it, because they should be running Noble Hierarch, and that makes Pyroclasm a lot better. Same thing with Staticaster. Let's bring in some sweepers. Blood Moon seems pretty bad. Huntmaster is so slow. I don't think they run that many colorless spells. The 2s are something interesting to look at, and so is the Ancient Grudge. Let's throw these here on top of the lands. What are we going to board out? At least one Traverse, I think. Probably a Mandrills. No, Knuckleblade. Pro Red. Knuckleblades Red. It will be the Mandrills. I normally board out a Mandrills, maybe even 2 against Blue-Green Infect, but I think Mandrills is a lot better here since it can block, and I've never run Knuckleblade against Infect, so I don't mind boarding that out. That seems kind of bad. Let's take out a Traverse as well. Although it means we have fewer ways of finding Staticaster, I think we're just going to hope Staticaster falls into our lap for that plan, or even just board it out because I don't want so many things that don't deal with Crusader. Mana Leaks seem amazing. I definitely want all my burn, even though it's not great. I might board out this Thought Scour, maybe a Shoal. Let's dump the Spell Snare. Yeah, we'll bring in 1 Spell Snare, the Grudge. That seems okay. We're going to run it. I don't remember the last time I played against this deck, so I am certainly going to be rough around the edges. But this hand seems fantastic. Our opponent mulled. They, however, did not go to 4. I'm going to lead on a Scalding Tarn so that we can bolt their turn 1 play, and if there isn't a turn 1 play that I would like to bolt, we can just Thought Scour. Our life total is not particularly relevant here, although it is of course somewhat relevant, so I don't mind Fetch Shock, Shock Shock. We'll take some damage, what are you gonna do? Overgrown Tomb, Glistener Elf. That is the kind of thing I would like to Lightning Bolt. Steam Vents. We're going to have plentiful access to colors in this match. Or at least in this game. The first game we didn't have that plentiful. I'm happy to shock here. We're going to Scour. If they do anything that I'd like to answer, we're going to Scour off of the Breeding Pool and hope that we draw 1 mana instant speed interaction to cast with the Steam Vents. This is probably taking Snapcaster. I don't think I want to Thought Scour here because then we could draw something better. But then again, Snapcaster Mage is pretty damn good. So unless we hit something like a Hooting Mandrills, I don't think they're going to be taking anything. We milled over Dismember and a Thought Scour, which really makes me wish I had this Snapcaster Mage still in hand, but they almost certainly are going to take it. Snapcaster does double duty in chump blocking the Crusader while also flashing back a removal spell for other threats, which seems pretty appealing. They took Pyroclasm, so maybe they have a handful of 1-drops. Fetch Shock Hierarch? Yup. I could technically get a Disrupting Shoal off of this Scour, so I should Scour now. We did not hit Disrupting Shoal. Well, actually, we milled Disrupting Shoal. So, we did prove that it's in the deck. What do we got? Mandrills. Mandrills seems like something I'd like to play. I wouldn't mind starting off with a Serum Visions to ensure that we can snap Pyroclasm next turn. Should we want that. We're also going to be able to hold up Spell Snare. We found another Snapcaster Mage, which is excellent. I do want the Tarmogoyf, but I may want the Snap Pyroclasm play. So we're going to leave the Foothills on top, just in case the fatty isn't what we're going for. And here is a Hooting Mandrills delving 5 cards. Shouldn't be a problem, given that we double scoured. Shoal is useless. The Thought Scours are also pretty bad. I want to leave this land for Goyf, but we are drawing a fetch land, so I can get rid of that. And go to end step. We have Spell Snare. Phyrexian Crusader, yep. It is sad that we can't Pyroclasm Crusader. Makes me kind of not want to Pyroclasm at all. Yeah, Pyroclasm just seems silly. I think we're far better off snap bolting the Hierarch. I'll even attack with the Mandrills. I like that quite a bit. And if necessary, we can crack the foothills and give up Tarmogoyf. Unless they have a mutagenic growth, they're not doing anything there. And if they use a mutagenic growth to deal with my threat, I think I'm happy with that. I do want to Snap Bolt now because Hierarch is a very good magic card. Now, they don't know about the second Snapcaster Mage that we drew post-Inquisition. So the only card in our hand that they know about is Spell Snare. Even though I did technically use the Snapcaster Mage we drew after the Inquisition, that's irrelevant. I really wouldn't mind them pushing this Snapcaster, actually, given that Goyf is coming down shortly. That'd be pretty good. Rancor is annoying. I think I just don't block, given that they Rancored. They can't. Okay, here's a Glistener Elf. That's all fine. I'm probably going to save this Snapcaster Mage for blocking the Elf. Hopefully Goyf can do something against the Crusader. I believe I take 4. It has First Strike and Trample, so we're just going to soak up 1 damage, giving up the Snapcaster Mage. That seems silly. Spell Snare's turning out to be pretty bad. I don't want to fetch because I have a Tarmogoyf coming. The one thing I am considering is, do I not attack with the Mandrill so that I can double block the Crusader? Oh, I have Fetch Dismember. Sorry, Snap Dismember, not Fetch Dismember. That seems really good. Like, really, really good. Do I just Snapcaster Dismember the Crusader right now? Gives up having Tarmogoyf on the battlefield, and they do get Rancor back, which is a bit of an issue. What's the game plan here? Unless they hit a land or a mana accelerant, they won't be able to Crusader again once we get rid of it. I think that looks pretty good. We're going to take some damage off of the Glistener Elf. We might actually end up having to block it with our Snapcaster Mages. I want to continue clocking because if we give them long enough, they're just going to assemble enough pump to trample over. Oh, that makes me feel very safe. That means their hand is bad. Or extremely threat dense. One of the two. Regardlessly, here is Snap Dismember. Red and white does not include black. Fantastic. Let that trigger resolve. Dismember. I would love to. So much life paid. And 1 mana. I will pretty happily go to 9, given that we're kind of winning right now. I miss the Infect matchup. Infect is fun to play against. I really do like playing against linear combo. Which, I mean, to be fair, is not... Oh, do I want to just counter that? I don't think I care to counter it, given that they can't take Tarmogoyf. They're probably going to kill a Snapcaster Mage, take away our Spell Snare. Linear matchups are generally good because Delver is clock plus disruption, and that's how you beat linear matchups. Present clock them while stopping them from enacting their game plan. Eventually they fall over. What modes is this? And are they discarding anything? They discarded Live Wire Lash. I have literally no idea what that is. They discarded 2 of them. But yeah, we're good in linear matchups, but I also just like linear matchups. Well, I like Infect specifically because it's pretty skill-based, I think. There's a lot of thinking that goes around, sequencing and stuff. It's fun magic. Okay. So that's just a neat equipment for them. So I was worried about graveyard synergies. Besides the fact that Goyf just got massive, they are also taking a card out of our hand or using the drain mode. It's mode 1. Mode 1 is discard, that's all fine. They're killing a Snapcaster Mage, taking away our Spell Snare. I don't mind. I do not mind. I'd rather have the slight amounts of life, I think, off of the Fetch Shock. They're pretty close to death anyways, and our board is about to get even better, thanks to Goyf. So I think I would rather have the 3 points of life, just in case they're able to sneak something in. Did they gain life? We lost life. Did it not say mode 1? It said mode 3. Oh, they did all 3. Whoops, that was stupid. I forgot or neglected to notice that they discarded 2 cards. How can we make Goyf relatively large while also playing that Hooting Mandrills? Because that seems pretty great. Creature, sorcery, land, artifact. So ideally I would leave this lightning bolt here, so that we still have all 5 types. Works for me. We are putting the shields completely down, but at 5 life I don't think there's anything they can do. They scoop to us casting the Goyf that they knew about, which seems a little weird given that they literally knew about it. Seeing those equipment makes me a little happier to have the Ancient Grudge and the Revelry. You can also Spell Snare that equipment, but these are good against Spellskite, which Spell Snare also is good against. These, I guess, are just slightly better, given that there's no time window, I think. Revelry also hits things like Choke in case they're running some sort of sideboard hate. I like Revelry against Infect because of Wild Defiance. That's the card. It's all coming back to me very, very slowly. Is there anything here that's better than Spell Snare? Potentially a Traverse, one of the negates, one of the 1-mana negates, I guess. It's Stubborn Denial, not negate. I don't want Blood Moon. I think it's one of these 3 cards that I want. Let's put them here so they're bigger. Move Tarfire over. Stubborn Denial is pretty good. Spell Snare has been pretty lacking, I'd say. Traverse just lowers our variance, so I kind of like that. Yeah, let's bring in the Traverse back. It just reduces the chances that we have a hand that is completely non-functional. Stumbling on lands is a pretty good way to lose to decks like Infect. It's also a good way to lose to Delver, so there's that. This hand has 3 lands, 2 cantrips, and a couple of burn spells. I like it very much. Notably, none of this deals with Crusader, but there's not a lot we can do on the Crusader front. We will either cantrip or take out their first threat. They have no threat. Cantrip it is. They didn't mulligan, so I'm expecting something strong from their hand. Regardlessly. It's not going to be cantrip. It's going to be Delver. Steam Vents? I'm thinking Steam Vents. We could go with the nice trifecta of Breeding Pool, Stomping Ground, Island, though. I do think I want to Fetch Shock here. Let's use the Scalding Tarn, since it's technically a little less versatile than the Misty. This will get a Breeding Pool. The cat's kind of out of the bag as to what deck we're playing, although I don't think they've seen Delver yet. They haven't. That's pretty fantastic. Boom! Not mid-range. Although I guess it is at least something. Yeah. So they didn't know we were on Delver, which is fantastic. Fatal Push. That's pretty good against Delver. However, they're being very slow, which I guess is good. Our opponent agrees that Delver was egregiously late. Another land, that's okay. What's the game plan here? Fetch, get another blue source, visions. I actually kind of like that because I want to dig through this library. Let's get a Steam Vents. Steam Vents seems like a good idea in case I'm somewhat worried about my life total. That way I can just not have to shock another time. They're testing Infect since blue-green is dead. Yeah, blue-green is kind of dead. There's no way we can get a Mandrills this turn. Thought Scour. Bolt is pretty good, but we already have 2 burn spells, and I don't think I want these. I really just want a big green threat. Serum Visions is actually pretty good, but let's get rid of the forest. Yep, there's the Crusader. We can bounce that. We are naturally going to start off with a Serum Visions, probably with this island, but I kind of want to fetch. But I want to get a Stomping Ground off of the fetch, so I think I'll wait. Let's just play the island. We found Goyf, which is great. Bottom both of these. Hopefully they don't have a push. There's Ink Moth. I forgot they even played it because it's been so long since I saw it. I was wondering why they only had 8 Infect threats. Goyf probably can't profitably block this Crusader. At the same time, they might just kill us if we do nothing. And they have many cards in hand. Many cards. 3 green sources. They could easily get to 10. They could just as easily run over Tarmogoyf. What's the bigger concern here? If they have 1 pump spell, Goyf probably dies, but we would live. If they have 2 pump spells, we would die, Goyf dies anyways. So if we think they can only cast 1, we should take the hit. If we think they can cast 2, we should block. I guess it depends on whether or not they animate the Nexus. They don't look like they're animating the Nexus. If they're not animating the Nexus, they probably want to put the mana into Crusader, which means I probably just have to block. If we block, we could lose Goyf, but they're probably... So they probably don't attack with Crusader unless they have the pump to get through Goyf, because then they would attack with Ink Moth and ignore Goyf. But if they attack with Ink Moth, that means they only have enough mana for 1 removal spell, which makes me feel like they have 2. So I'm going to play it safe. We've got cantrips and bounce. We can live to fight another day. Pump spell number 1. They didn't pay life for it. Oh, okay. That was awesome. Crusader is perfectly fine, and Goyf is an 0-1. They play Tassiger? That's amazing. And completely awful for us. I'm pretty sure Goyf shrinks here. Instant land. They actually can't shrink the Goyf. I thought they were just gonna delve it to death. So Goyf is good for another chump block. Nope, no, it is gone. We didn't have an instant. Wow. That is pretty unusual. I think I ignore Tasigur because it's slightly less threatening. I am going to scour myself because I need to hit something good to stay in this game. Mana Leak is a little late to the party. Later than that first Delver was. I have one Vapor Snag. Whatever I snag, I can then leak, which is relevant. I think I want to snag the Tasigur because they have 2 Infect threats anyways. So we're gonna do that. I'll probably end up fetching out a Forest to Mana Leak the Tasigur when it comes back down. If/when it comes back down. We're waiting on Green Fatty. Verdant Catacombs, so they can play it. Tasigur is likely to show up again. Green-Black Infect actually might be a bad matchup for us because of Crusader. Blue-Green Infect is a pretty good matchup because Clock plus Disruption, like I said. Our Disruption is generally bad against that Crusader. Unless we have a leak in hand. That's going to happen. Am I just dead? They have Tasigur and 2 cards. We're probably not just dead. It seems pretty unlikely. Of course, they don't really need to be in any sort of a hurry. So it's probably just get some Infect damage in, play Tasigur. Which seems like a pretty good plan. Fetch. It's likely that this is a Tasigur. There it is. Let's counter it. And from this point forward, they're probably going to be animating Ink Moth. Infect is actually really cool with First Strike because they were able to shrink our Goyf with the 4/4 Crusader before Goyf got to hit, which meant Goyf did 0 damage to the Crusader. Even though if Goyf would have had to been an 8/9 to take out the Crusader in that bit of combat, 4 -1/-1 counters, and then it'll still have 4 power. If we can find a way to wall the Crusader, we can potentially Tarfire the Ink Moth, and we might actually get out of this alive. Conveniently, walling Crusader also requires us to have a big threat, which is what we need to actually win the game. Or we could just dismember the Crusader. That works too. That was basically the top deck to end all top decks. I don't mind. I have plenty of blue and no blue spells. That was extremely lucky. Then again, we're running Dismember on purpose. I think it's an amazing card. More people should run it. And I did Visions 3 times plus a Thought Scour. So it's not like we didn't look at our library. I believe they didn't attack with Ink Moth, which is highly suspect. They may or may not be asking for a rollback. I think they skipped their turn. I don't know why they wouldn't attack with Ink Moth there. We have a lot of stuff to kill Ink Moth, which is nice. And step. Unfortunately, we're doing a lot of nothing. They might just be waiting to get a bunch of pump spells, given that they're under literally 0 pressure. So they might just be playing around our instant speed burn here. Forked Bolt plus Lightning Bolt could answer a... Ooh, they're going for the Dryad Arbor plan. That's cool. That is a very neat way to... Dryad Arbor is a good way to play around Liliana of the Veil with the sacrifice effect, and at the same time attack the life total when you're playing Infect. I'm not sure what they're casting here. They're animating Inkmoth. Sure. I don't think I'm going to deal with... I don't want to instigate them because Infect wins in combat. As I mentioned earlier, I'm sure just about everybody who plays Modern knows this. Infect is basically combat trick.deck, which means that if you fight them in combat, you're probably going to lose, and then you'll end up taking a bunch of extra damage, which is bad, of course. We don't want to do that. So I'm not going to fight them. I'll take my 1 lump. That's fine. And then I will attempt to Tarfire the Inkmoth while it is a 1/1. This makes them use the pump spells in a way that doesn't cause us to take extra damage. So if you play against Infect, you should usually do it this way. Here's a Blossoming Defense. We saved 2 poison? 2 poison. That's fine. We're probably going to Forked Bolt the Arbor on our turn, given that Forked Bolt isn't doing much. Then again, we only have the 1 red source, so maybe we just leave Arbor alone. Ancient Grudge gives us a second way to try to take out the Nexus, which actually is another reason why Ancient Grudge is good here. I forgot about Inkmoth Nexus, which is really bad, but at least I thought to board in the good spells. I don't want to do anything now because every spell in my hand requires red mana, and Dryad Arbor is a lot less threatening than Inkmoth Nexus. We're kind of suffering from draw the wrong half of your deck syndrome right now. They're attacking with the Arbor, sure. They're splitting the difference, which is a little weird. I kind of just want to use the Lightning Bolt because I have more instant speed removal to deal with the Inkmoth. So I think that's okay. Can I have a Goyf? Okay. Shoal isn't the worst. It's absolutely not good here, but it's not the worst. I do think Shoal is pretty good in the matchup, but maybe I'm just still too stuck on blue-green. Blue-green Infect was a lot more common than black-green Infect when Infect was a big deck. Second Nexus is certainly worrisome. And the fact that they're not attacking a lot is suggesting to me that they are trying to build up pump spells. Mana Leak looks pretty bad. It's really good against Crusader early on. At least we can shoal a 2 CMC spell in addition to Grudging or Revelrying. I'm not sure what 2 CMC spells they're running, because I'm pretty sure the only ones we've seen so far are the Lash Wire thing, the Equipment, and Collective Brutality. So I really don't think Disrupting Shoal and Mana Leak will be pulling a lot of weight here, but maybe they will. I could be wrong. It has happened once or twice before. Now they're animating. Okay. They're animating both, which really makes me not want to fight them before combat, because if we do try to take out one of the Nexi, they'll probably just pump another one. Ancient Grudge and Revelry are really good in that they don't deal with damage to destroy things. So even if they use, say, Become Immense, we can still Grudge. Unless they have a hexproof effect, but what are you going to do about that? I do believe I want to take this, and then Grudge afterwards. This is a pretty good opening with Grudge, because if we try to Grudge one of them post-combat, and they give it hexproof, the Grudge will go to the graveyard, and we can try Grudging the other one. Now that we've taken our damage, we'll head over to the end step. I'm really hoping to draw a threat soon. It doesn't really matter. So I targeted the one on the right. If they give it hexproof, we'll be going for the one on the left. There's the hexproof. We can't shoal it. We can Mana Leak it, actually. So I think I'm going to do that, given that Grudge is a lot better than Mana Leak right now. So hopefully we can get the Mana Leak out of our hand for some amount of value. Awesome. Fantastic. And Grudge is still in the graveyard. That is great. Goyf, please. Please, Goyf. Traverse. Delirium. 5 card types. Traverse. Lowers variance. Look at it. Look at the greatness that is Traverse the Ulvenwald. I don't know if I'm willing to go full out with it, though. So I want to Traverse out a threat, and I do think that's the right play, but that means we can't Grudge plus Revelry because we'll have this island. So it's a little unfortunate, but I do think we need to Traverse and try to close this game sometime this year. What is the best threat? I think Mandrills because it's immune to push. We could always go for Snap Traverse, but that seems super greedy. I don't want to cast Mandrills because I want green to be able to cast some interaction. So we're going to pass it over to them. Take it slow. I don't want to tap too low. This has been a great match. That's one of the things I like about Infect. You're constantly on the edge of your seat. A lot like Twin. Although it's a little more proactive than Twin, because it plays the threat earlier, and it's a lot easier to interact with, which is another plus. I like Infect. I like Infect a lot. Mid-range decks are good against it. It inspires a healthy meta, to at least some extent, because it's very hard to race, and they didn't do anything, so they're probably stocking up pump spells. They don't want to get got by Flashback Grudge, which is extraordinarily reasonable. Tarfire is the 5th type. I was wondering what that was. We don't have any artifacts in this deck right now. I don't know what they might be doing on our upkeep. We drew a Serum Visions. Do I want to cast Serum Visions? If we cast just Mandrills, we have 3 mana left over. We can Revelry or Grudge. If we cast Visions, we might find something slightly better, or at least accelerate our game plan, giving them slightly less time to find stuff that beats us. So, Visions seems good. Pyroclasm seems awful. Vapor Snag is pretty good, though. So is Mandrills, but I think I want the Snag first. Yeah, I want Snag first. So Mandrills underneath. Mandrills, I believe, will shave a turn off of our clock. Although Forked Bolt might actually do the same, but maybe we end up Forked Bolting at some point. Vapor Snag on top. Cast Mandrills. I almost didn't do that. We have 20 cards in the graveyard. That's a lot. Let's cut that down. I don't need all 4 Serum Visions or all of these lands. And let's get rid of a Delver. One of the nice things about when your graveyard is extraordinarily full is you have to pay so much less attention to how you delve. Absolutely, I would love for Hooting Mandrills to resolve. Okay, opponent has 2 minutes on the clock. I don't want them to time out because that's a lot less of a fun way to win. But if it happens, it happens. The same basically goes for us dying. Oh, maybe I should have held on to Visions so that I could Shoal Pitch it to counter 1 CMC's pump spells. That might have been very relevant. I don't know if it would have been right, but it is certainly very relevant. Our opponent is taking their time, as they should. Stuff's happening. Mana is being produced by lands which are tapping. It's exciting. They didn't end up tapping anything. They're going to us. Cool. Upkeep. What do we got? We drew the Vapor Snag. which is great. I somehow managed to think about enough things that I forgot we had Vapor Snag on top. Next is Mandrills. So we're going to swing with Mandrills. We now have the holy trifecta of Ancient Grudge, Revelry, Vapor Snag for when they try to go after us, which is fantastic. We can cast all of it. I maybe shouldn't have kept that island there. When I fetched it, I'm 90% sure I fetched out that island and didn't draw it naturally, which I should definitely think about, given that we need a lot of interaction against Infect when the game goes like this. Livewire Lash is what it's called. That's at least somewhat scary. +2/+2, so we're not going to want to target things once that equips. Fortunately, we can just blow up the Lash, although it is essentially another Inkmoth Nexus, given that we have to use a removal spell on it. But that's okay. The +2/+0 is also super relevant. That can animate. Let's not skip to end step because we kind of have to sequence things correctly. Our opponent's going to probably time out given how much interaction we have. I don't think they can kill us this turn, which is pretty sad. This has been a fun match. They go for the equip. I'm going to, I think, Revelry it, because Revelry costs more mana than Grudge. And I don't think it's possible for them to win. GG's opponent, there's a Vines on... That's unfortunate, but some good games. It looks like they already left. I do believe we still take that because they can't Vines the artifact. So they Vines the... Maybe they just go for the kill and then we get them with the Vapor Snag or the Grudge. Either one's fine. That was a great match. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Even a quarter of as much as I did because I had a lot of fun. Thank you all for watching. Thanks for no, I just said thanks for watching. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it and I hope to see you in the next one.